Being born and raised in Atlanta, this terror attack really felt a lot closer to home. It was very shocking. It is still very shocking. It was jarring, and it's heartbreaking. I remember I think I was working on some Zoom calls, and my notifications just started blowing up, and I took a look, and it was, a really, really atrocious event that I think has really shaken myself, but a lot of my friends and family and the community in Atlanta, but also around the world, for anybody that identifies as Asian, Asian American, or as a friend to Asians.
In your op-ed, you talked about internalized racism growing up. I know that this is not an easy thing to share, but tell us a bit more about your experience growing up and how it shaped your identity.
The thing about internalized racism and microaggressions and small casual forms of racism is that it is very hard sometimes to notice it. And it's very hard to really recognize it, call it out, and try to change it, because it can seem so inconsequential, and it can seem and feel so small that you're like, am I being overly sensitive, or am I being too petty to point these things out? But because we grow up with it, because it is with us from such a young age, it becomes internalized and becomes normalized. And I think for much of my youth and much of my time growing up, I just kind of stayed quiet, and I was like, this is just the way it is. But as an adult, and especially over, the span of even the past year or so, where Asian hate crimes have really skyrocketed in terms of the occurrence and the severity and how much of it is happening, I think it's important for us to have these conversations to say, this is not okay. Let's talk about this. Why is this not okay? What can we do to fix it? And that's part of the reason why I'm here with you today, to kind of talk about it just a little bit.
And you've been using your platform to spotlight what's been happening in the Asian American community. Why is that?
To be very honest, when I was asked and approached to write a piece or to be in interviews with CNN or like here with Bloomberg, I was always kind of a little hesitant and apprehensive, because I feel like there is so much weight and responsibility when it comes to utilizing public platform, but also realizing that I don't know everything. I don't know the answers, and nobody really knows all the answers. But it's through having these conversations and by putting myself and ourselves out there and saying, we're here to talk to you so you can talk to us, and we can figure out how we can become a better society and how we can become more inclusive and more accepting. I think that is kind of the core reason as to why I've taken the deliberate choice to be vocal and to be present and to be a part of these conversations.
The pandemic has been weaponized against Asian Americans, and a lot more individuals like yourself and organizations are stepping up to condemn it. So what more can be done to stop AAPI hate?
Well, first of all, I think, having these conversations is incredibly important. We need for this to be a constant conversation. It is painful. It is difficult. Nobody ever said this was going to be easy, but it needs to be done. So I think engaging and having the patience to figure out what the next steps are, I think that's the first step to kind of take us forward. Second, I think, everybody that is watching this, listening to this, you can be a catalyst for change. So being involved on a local grassroots level, involving the people in your community, supporting Asian American businesses, your friends and your allies, and really being an ear or a shoulder or just a friend. One example is we had, we're not really particularly close to them, but we have some people reach out who are just like, I just want to let you know that I'm here. I don't know exactly what it feels like to be Asian or Asian American, but if I can help you in any way, if I can be a resource in any way, please know that I am here, and I'm really willing and ready to be a friend to you in the community. That in itself was very empowering, and I think encourages a lot of us to continue to have these conversations. And then finally, I think supporting financially where you can and if you can, a lot of these incredible organizations that are doing the work on the ground to encourage and really facilitate change. One, for example, if GoFundMe, they've partnered with a lot of great Asian American, Asian nonprofits. There are so many different resources where you can read up and get involved and give financially, or just be aware of what's going on in this community and how we're fighting for change.